Now, you guys know me, I love a wonder kid, and seeing Antoni-Djibu Milambo completing a transfer to Brentford almost overnight, completely out of nowhere, is one that's got me really excited for Brentford fans. This is a guy that came on my radar after making his senior and his Conference League debut all at the one time in a second or third qualifying playoff against a Switzerland team, before then later following up with his second senior appearance, also been in the Conference League that year, in the final group stage game, a kind of dead rubber one. And normally, 16-year-old kind of academy prodigies getting, those qualifier minutes is normally something that's not too unknown. It's something you do see from time to time. But when he reoccurred again in the group stage, I thought, no, this is definitely a player that Feyenoord have got high hopes for, and they're trying to get that European kind of experience into. Fast forward to when he's 18 years of age, he makes his Champions League debut in must-win old format Champions League group stage matches against Lazio and Atletico Madrid, before last season, making his breakout year at the age of 20, being the main man in a Feyenoord midfield. Post Arne Slot, and that Feyenoord midfield has had a lot of really high prominent transfers move out of the team over the last couple of seasons, and this is a guy that's got the credentials, he's got the techers to go all the way to the top, and this move to Brentford feels like it could be an absolute perfect marriage, because Milambo is one of these players that, if you've been checking out highlights of him, he is very highlight friendly, and what I mean by that is they're a very good representation of what you get from the boy himself. He's physical, he goes box to box, he goes line to line, he'll tackle every player, and he'll also get himself into the box for assists and goals and all that good stuff. And at the age of 20, coming through, we all know Dutch football well enough, it produces world class players on a continuous basis, and I've got a sneaky hunch, I've got a sneaky feeling that Milambo moving into Brentford, taking his career to the Premier League at 20 years of age, into a really strong Premier League outfit, which is going through its own kind of transitional period at the moment as well. A new kind of era is beginning with Brentford this year, which is why it piques my interest to that next kind of level, because Milambo coming in here to probably replace Norgard. I've just not got him the same as Mbuemo on the tactics board here, so I just don't think there's any point thinking about them in terms of Brentford coming out of the transfer window. But Milambo coming in here to replace Norgard is like for like in a good positive way for Brentford as they could possibly wish for. Milambo has maybe not quite got the steel, the age, the kind of maturity of a Christian Norgard necessarily, but what he lacks in that, he makes up for with high energy. And the way that Brentford like to play, Brentford have got so much credit due in the bank for me in terms of wider football, wider Premier League fans, because they have went through some massive transitions, like way under the radar in previous years anyway, especially losing the likes of Ivan Toney, and some of the different injury problems they've had has kind of went under the radar for the most part. A team that doesn't quite get the attention or the coverage that maybe they deserved, considering how much they've been punching above their weight and how they've very safely established themselves as a mid-table, top-end-ish Premier League outfit already. And this will be a big season of transition, and if Milambo is anything to go by in terms of the yardstick that Brentford are using, because when you couple that with Coyote, the right back, Damsgaard, of course, who made his name in a big way at the Euros, Kelleher, of course, the best number 2 goalkeeper in the world, but guys like Shade or Shade or whatever, and Wissa, who, I would like to think both these guys stay at Brentford the way things sit at the moment. These are all guys that could sincerely play for the majority of Premier League teams, give or take, depending on tactics and what manager we're talking about, that sort of thing. And that's the main objective for any team that does get promoted from the Championship, secure their status in the Premier League, and then look to kind of move up the table and try and push themselves into European contention, is trying to keep the basis, trying to keep everything really consistent, and slowly but surely do that surgery to kind of upgrade the team and try and bring it into the sort of level that you can with your budget. And the money ball element of Brentford, as we know, is very well covered and reaps rewards on a continuous basis. I do think they're going to have some more incomings and outgoings. Brentford fans that tune into the video as well, by the way, feel free to jump into the comment section and let me know anything about the team that I've got wrong, anything I'm missing, anyone that if you think we should be adding in, any impending incoming transfers that we've not added in. I'm kind of at arm's distance with Brentford at the moment, but with the addition of Milambo, and if they add in that sort of level, who at 20 years of age, you'll have a look at his performances, his ratings here out of 100 across the season, his breakout season, and see a guy that is getting goals, he's getting assists, he's playing regularly for a top end team that is expected to win week in, week out, high pressure situation, and coming up with the goods, as well as, of course, playing some youth international football here in the summer. But when we go back to the beginning of the season and we flip this into being a Champions League kind of highlight, He's got some great miles on the clock again this season at the highest level, playing the likes of Leverkusen, scoring against Girona, being the match winner, scoring 2 goals against Benfica in a 3-1 win, 3-1 loss for Benfica, before playing Man City in a 3-3 draw, which, you know, I think Brentford would be quite okay with drawing away 3-3 at City, going toe-to-toe, head-to-head with the Man City boys, as it were, playing Sparta Prague, getting an assist against Bayern Munich in a game that they won. So not just one of these kind of throwaway, meaningless statistics, you know, like scoring the only goal in like a 6-1 loss kind of thing. You know, a very good performance for Feyenoord, very good result, before then qualifying for the knockout stages, beating AC Milan 1-0 in the first tie, before in the second tie in the San Siro sadly being eliminated at the end. And that is the next thing that Brentford should be looking to add into their squad, their makeup, is that kind of upper level. You know, guys like Damsgaard and whatever that are operating at the very high level of international football is brilliant. These guys like Mbuemo, Wissa, Shade that are like good Moneyball purchases. They really profile well. They fit the plan, the strategy, like an absolute piece, like an absolute perfect cog in the machine. But to go up the levels, to finish higher in the table, you need to be bringing in that higher standard, that higher level. And although this guy's only 20 years of age, this is their real prospect signing. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, Holland has got some track record of producing world-class players, and from what I've seen of this guy already, I've got no doubt he's going to transition very well into the Premier League. And like I said earlier, in time, I could see this guy being a world-class midfielder, no two ways about it. And after having a look around to see who Brentford might replace Mbuemo with, or who they might just go out and splash some cash on to reinforce their squad, you know, after really, you know, laying out a line in the sand here with the quality addition of Milambo here, I really couldn't find much, but it does seem that they're after a Middlesbrough defender called Rav Vandenberg, who is the brother of Sepp Vandenberg, and I don't know if that's to replace Nathan Collins. Maybe it's a bit of a change of shape. Maybe we're going to see a bit more of a back three under Keith Andrews, the new manager, which again, it's a new manager, maybe some sort of tweak or adjustment might come into the team where actually replacing Mbuemo as an actual like for like might not actually be needed or required. We'll see that kind of in the fullness of time, I suppose, but I thought that was a funny one, and it could be quite cool. You know, I don't mind seeing two brothers at centre back, especially if they're both high quality. Again, a youth international, another Dutch player, so there's maybe a bit of the Dutch connection coming into Brentford here. But certainly the beginning of an exciting window, I think. And I think Brentford themselves, post Thomas Frank, will want to move themselves into their next phase of their development, you know. And I don't think Man City get enough credit for this. And I know it's on a totally different scale and you guys are going about it in a totally different way. But if you think about when Man City first got their money and Mancini came in, you know, like a lot of the signings they made, like Barry's and Milner's, Bellamy, you know, there was lots of players that they brought in that were like upper end Premier League players that could lift them into being like, have that floor on like how well they perform over the year. And you guys have went about that in like a totally different way. I wouldn't say if it was more organic or whatever, but certainly much more astute, you know, being very careful with decision making, only selecting the right kind of profile of player, coach, manager and all the rest of it to hire and bring into the fold. But after that Mancini area came Pellegrini, where it was about all-out attack a bit more, and it just really then moved them up a level. And I don't know if Keith Andrews is going to be that kind of guy, obviously, for so many different reasons, but I think Brentford at this stage in their kind of club development and their kind of, you know, growing into being this established Premier League team that we've mentioned already, with Milambo and like 2 or 3 other guys at that type of level, could quickly turn the dial up on where they are in the league, how dangerous they are versus every other team in the division, and ultimately how high they can set their sets on the table. So yeah, exciting times. I'll be really interested to keep my ear to the ground and watch out for this one as well. If you've enjoyed the video, please do hit subscribe for more content like this. Hit the like button, jump into the comment section, tell me what I got right or wrong or whatever else on screen. And there's some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Have a great day, thanks for catching the video, stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.